So, as I'm getting deeper into this consciousness stuff, there's the concept of collective consciousness, right? That's something that we all share. Um, think of it like, like how magnets have like a field around them. Lots of things have an electromagnetic field around them. Think of like our minds. I don't even want to say brains because that's not the source, right? But your consciousness also has like a field. Like that information is not like physically contained in your brain. So there's multiple examples of different animals, including humans, exhibiting what could be explained by a collective consciousness. One of those being like these monkeys, they were like washing their potatoes to get the sand off of them. They washed them in a stream. And then they taught it to a few, and then it, the whole community was doing it. And then a while later, other monkeys were doing that. And they didn't have any communication with each other. It's like, oh, could it be coincidence? Maybe. But then it started happening with others. Like, as soon as it was well known, it seemed like they all kind of picked up on it. And like the same thing, there's a bird one in Europe. There's like this little bird called a blue tit, and it figured out how to break the foil on the top of the milk bottles that were delivered. This is like back in the 1920s, and they would just drink the cream out of the top, whatever they could reach with their little tiny beaks. Once they all knew how to do that, birds all over in other countries started to do that. And you might think, oh yeah, well, birds, right? Like they travel around. These are non-migratory birds. They don't. Like that's not how that information could have, made its way to them. Then you have like starlings, how they fly in like crazy flocks and they don't like run into each other. They all just know how to like go with the flow there. There's also an example of rats, of course. Everyone tests on rats. But like they taught a generation to memorize this particular maze. Like it's a complicated one. It took them a while to learn, lots of failures. But like, once they had learned it, they're getting faster and faster and faster. And then they would have a couple of generations later, like those rats' grandchildren, but they've never had contact with the grandparents. Have the grandchildren do the maze, they do it no problem. But and that's not like information being genetically passed down. That doesn't seem like that would make sense, but who knows? I don't know anything. But then once those like they've done this with a couple of generations of rats, then a completely different teams use the same maze on their rats, which have zero connection to the rats in the initial test. And those rats were able to do it much more quickly as well. Like once and from a human example, the theory of evolution, calculus, there's a few other examples where different people came up with the same idea at a different time, completely unrelated, unbeknownst to each other. So it seems like once a certain amount of units of whatever that, like humans, starlings, whatever, deer, once there's a certain threshold met, it just becomes part of their collective consciousness. Like they're just able to access it. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. And it would explain quite a few different things. Yeah.